Madam Chair, we are broadcasting.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Environment and Planning Committee meeting of Monday the 9th of May 2022. We'll declare the meeting open at 7:02 p.m. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this meeting is being held, and that is the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Next item is the notice of live streaming of the committee meeting. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is open and the meeting is being broadcast live to the public on Council's website in accordance with Section 4 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Only if the meeting moves into a closed or confidential session in accordance with Section 13 of the Code of Meeting Practice will the public broadcasting of the meeting be suspended. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. Mobile phones must be turned to silent during the meeting. Apologies. I think that we have everybody on either online or in the meeting room tonight, so I don't believe there are any apologies. We'll move to the next item, which is disclosures of interest. Do any councillors have any interest to declare tonight? Anyone at home? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Public participation. Do we have any registered speakers for tonight? Okay, thank you. All right, our next item is the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. If someone could, I'd like to call for a motion for someone to move the minutes of the Environment and Planning meeting held on Monday the 11th of April. Moved by Councillor Borg, seconded by Councillor Marnie. Ms. Lawton, do we need to go around the room for this?
Because there are some at home, it would be best practice. Thank you. Madam Chair, I'll ask for your vote, please. For Councillor Borg. For Councillor Jamieson. For Councillor Marnie. For Councillor Tegg.
For.
And Councillor Wang.
For.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. We'll declare that carried. We'll now move to we've just got one item on the agenda tonight, one committee report. That's ENV 013-22. That's Development and Building Department Functions and Services Metrics Report for quarter 3, 2021 to 22. If I'll just get some, okay, Councillor Borg, you'd like to move that. I'll just get someone to second that so we can open it for discussion. Councillor Marnie, you'll second that. Thank you. Sorry to those of you at home, it's just a little bit easier to call for movers from the floor. Does anybody have any questions or comments to make on this particular paper? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I did, but I was going to ask, I guess, just to understand it a little better, because we see one of the things I was going to ask is, I guess, what do we need to do to get the numbers a bit better? Because we've seen it looks like it's going the right way, but how do we, because we've had, well, a lot of issues in terms of, I've had a lot of complaints in non-compliances, and how do we deal with it? So it's worth noting, but I think maybe I'll just ask, I was going to ask Meryl at another time.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Jamieson, unless the Acting General Manager or Ms Wedley might be in a position to answer that.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think that Ms Weatherly might be in a better position than me to answer that question.
Thank you, Acting General Manager. So, as I understand it, the currently our assessment times aren't as good as have been in the past, but there has been a number of reasons for that, and I think the proper observation is that they are catching up and improving those circumstances. And in all my conversations with people in the industry, many councils are in exactly the same position. There's been a bit of a flood, as well as a really big recruitment from the state government and other sectors. And I often say we're fishing in the same pond, and it's not a particularly big pond, so finding good staff is also an ongoing challenge. In relation to the development compliance issues, I think actually that might be a good conversation to have with Meryl, the director. I'm sure she would appreciate an opportunity to talk about the compliance activities that we have. In my current role in the organisation, I am aware of a significant number of court matters that we are managing in this area. And one of our parts of our program for non-compliance is to make sure our court activities are well publicised, as a reminder to everyone that compliance with the conditions of consent are not guidelines, that's the law.
Thanks, Ms Weatherly. Councillor Jamieson, does that answer your question?
Yeah, actually it's interesting because I don't really know how many there's publicised, so it would be really good. I'm actually not aware of any court cases, so it would be good if you could get that.
Happy to come back on that and a variety of matters.
Thanks, Ms Weatherly. Are there any other questions from the councillors at home or in the room?
I have just a question. When I read through the report, it's just in relation to the number of applications. I can't find it right now, but where there's a deemed refusal, and I understand that there's a set number of days, and if it's not assessed in that time, then the applicant has the right to, I think, take it straight to the Land and Environment Court. And is there? I know that that's a state government rule in terms of the number of days and things like that. Is it ever something that council would consider to, I don't know, join in with other councils or lobby the state government to get that number of days extended or changed in the Government Act so that councils do have longer time before the applicants are able to just go off and appeal?
You've jumped on one of my hobby horses. The current the Act is based on the 1979 Act when it was first introduced, and that's without wanting to labour the point a very long time ago. It was 40 days assessment then, when it was a lot less complex planning system. It's now, they've extended it all the way to 42 days in that time. I do sometimes think that the assessment times are not realistic for many of the things that we deal with. It's completely realistic for relatively small matters. But when you think some of those very small matters actually end up being complying developments, so they're not even, a lot of the small things went away. So I do agree that sometimes the 42 days is just not a realistic representation of the true time required to assess a development application, particularly if there are any difficulties with the application. So I'm not aware that either of people such as Local Government New South Wales, which would be normally the agency that would prosecute a case like that, has ever taken that up. However, I will find out and come back to the committee. But yes, it's interesting for what's 79, it's over 40 years ago. Is it 43 years? Quick maths. They've added 2 days to the assessment time. Very challenging.
Thanks, Ms Weatherly. Any other further questions? No, I just would like to just make a comment, councillors. This report is a really good overview of what the planning department does. It ranges from everything as to how the Sydney South Planning Panel and the local planning panel, the difference between those two, the number of DAs that have been lodged, and through to the number of private certifiers versus council certifiers, which is a really interesting statistic. The council certification very low compared to the private certifiers, and it also includes some information about complying development, and at the end it's quite a comprehensive list of variations to the LEP, which is worth a quick look through just to get an idea of the sorts of things that have been able to have been buried for various reasons. But if there are no more questions, I think we might put the item to the vote. Please, Ms Thornton.
Madam Chair, your vote, please.
For.
Councillor Ball.
For.
Councillor Jamieson.
For.
Councillor Marnie.
For.
Councillor Tegg.
For the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Wayne.
For.
That's a unanimous vote.
Great. Well, we'll declare that one carried. And as that is the final item for this evening, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you to staff. Thank you to councillors at home. And we'll declare the meeting closed at 7:11 p.m. Thank you.